On the news tonight, state government appeals for support for families of fallen and retired veterans of the armed forces. Intending Christian pilgrims from the state to Holy Lands advised to pray for economic prosperity. State government says it will work towards lasting peace in communities experiencing crisis. Abroad, New Zealand announced plans to ban greyhound racing. Good evening. Thank you for joining us on Delta Television News tonight. My name is Pauline Okolie. The state government has appealed for support for families of fallen and retired veterans in the nation's armed forces. Governor Sheriff Oborowori made the appeal during the 2025 Armed Forces Remembrance Day emblem launch held today at the Unity Hall, Government House, Asaba. Sams Owojite reports.
Governor Oborowori, represented by the State Commissioner for Finance, Chief Fidelis Tilije, appealed to groups and individuals to appreciate the heroes who paid the supreme price to secure the nation and promote world peace. He extolled the heroism of the fallen gallant men and women, saying their patriotism was worthy of emulation. Governor Oborowori also charged local governments to launch the emblem in their domains to raise funds for the legionnaires as well as the families left behind by the war dead. Governor Oborowori, who pledged 10 million naira on behalf of the state government, tasked the Nigerian Legion to make good use of the funds raised while applauding their initiative to invest in agriculture and food security.
Our gratitude also goes to the men and officers of the Nigerian Armed Forces who are daily putting their lives on the line in the current fight against insurgency, terrorism, and banditry. These gallant men and women remind us every day of what it means to be a patriot. As a people, we must continually respect and honor our fellow countrymen in uniform for the work they are doing to keep us together.
The Delta State Chairman of the Nigerian Legion, retired Colonel O.J. Boniface, as well as the commander of the 63 Brigade Nigerian Army, Asaba, Brigadier General Ugochukwu Onwachukwu, recounted the ordeal faced by families of legionnaires and incapacitated veterans while appealing for increased support for them. Retired Colonel O.J., whose speech was read by the Legion's Vice Chairman, said it was the constitutional responsibility of the body to engage in profit-making ventures such as agriculture, while reminding the state government to facilitate the allocation of farmland to the Legion and enforce the emblem launch in local government. The chairman of the Delta State Traditional Rulers Council and the Oroji of Okbe Kingdom, retired Major General Phyllis Mojibero Urwe I, decried Nigeria's poor attitude towards the Armed Forces Remembrance Day, charging everyone not to take it as a mere ritual, considering the critical roles the armed force veterans play for national security. Sams Owojite reporting.
Land of Israel and Jordan have been advised to pray for the peace and economic prosperity of the state in particular and Nigeria in general. Governor Sheriff Oborowori gave the charge while declaring open the 2024 Delta Christian Pilgrims Pre-Departure Screening Exercise at the Christian Association of Nigeria CAN Secretariat in Asaba. Governor Oborowori, represented by the Commissioner Bureau for Special Duties, Mr. Ejiro Etagerue, said Delta State benefited from previous spiritual exercises, adding that prayers for the state and her leaders and the Holy Land also attracted economic progress and sustained peaceful coexistence and unity among the people. He advised intending pilgrims to be of good behavior while on the pilgrimage and pledged partnership with faith-based organizations to attract God's favor to the state. The Executive Secretary of the Delta State Christian Pilgrim Welfare Board, the Very Reverend Father Christopher Ekabo, in an interactive session with newsmen, said Governor Sheriff Oborevwori released funds early for the pilgrimage and pledged that the pilgrims would pray for the state. One of the intending pilgrims and Director General of the Delta State Orientation and Communications Bureau, Dr. Fred Oyenesire, told newsmen at the camp secretariat that Governor Oborevwori would give attention to spiritual upliftment of the state and her people. Governor Sheriff Oborevwori has said his administration is determined to continue to trust God for his guidance and direction to successfully implement his moral agenda. Governor Oborevwori stated this during the 2024 annual Thanksgiving of the state chapter of the Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria, held at the Alpha and Omega PFN City, Agbaru, Ughelli North Local Government Area. Pere Botu has details of the report.
The governor, represented by the state deputy governor, Sir Monday Oyeme, attributed the success of his administration to the judicious use of resources amid competing needs to divine wisdom. He noted that Nigeria was stable in spite of the economic situations occasioned by the high cost of living.
The year 2024 has been a peculiar year. The Naira has been valued to level previously thought possible. Inflation is at all-time high, and the cost of governance has become a nightmare. Yet, despite all these challenges, we are still standing firm that Nigeria is still peaceful and stable in spite of the rare economic situation. It's not the work of any man. It is fueled by the grace and mercy of God.
The state chairman of the PFN, Bishop Willie Abbas, said despite the country's problems, God had blessed the children to live above negative situation. He said the PFN annual Thanksgiving was to appreciate God for his goodness and promised that his leadership would work for the people.
So let us come with open hearts to give thanks to God. In the days of scarcity, that is when you can give the best to God. When there was nothing, there was flood, people died. As soon as one came down, the first thing he did was thanksgiving.
In a sermon titled Noble Offering, Bishop Kingsley Enakirere of the Heroes of Faith Ministries, Ughelli, said a noble offering to God could only come from a heart of gratitude, mercy, and faithfulness. He admonished Christians to demonstrate their love for God by giving to him cheerfully.
Noble offering is faith. If you don't trust God, you can't give God. And anything that is not worth giving is not worth having. Those who don't have faith in God, that is their creator, is the Alpha and Omega, is the beginning and the ending. He has the final say.
The highlight of the service was thanksgiving to God by the state officers, chapter and unit executives of PFM, as well as the women and youth wing. I am Pere Botu reporting.
The state government has said it will work towards a lasting peace in communities experiencing crisis. The special advisor to the state governor on peace building and conflict resolution, Chief Edwin Uzo, stated this when he met with representatives of Ibedeni Kingdom and Ndokwa East local government area in his office in Asaba. Henry Unogwa reports. The state government has reiterated its commitment towards ensuring that oil companies operate in a peaceful environment and obey the provisions of the Petroleum Industry Act PIA 2021. Special Advisor to the State Governor on Peace Building and Conflict Resolution, Chief Edwin Uzo, stated this during a meeting with representatives of Seplat Oil Company, Obotie, Abiborodo, Uberikoko, and Okpe Saple communities in his office in Asaba. Esther Oputa reports.
Uzo said the communities staged a peaceful protest on November 28 over the impact of Seplat Oil Company operations in the area and the need for the oil company to pay royalties to communities impacted by the oil exploration. He said Seplat Company petitioned against the communities to the state government, requesting government intervention on the dispute between the company and the impacted communities. Chief Uzo, however, promised the aggrieved parties that the matter would be looked into to achieve peace, while urging the communities to shield the sword, while Seplat works to ensure compensation for the impacted communities.
And today we've been able to discuss with them, to tell them the reason why they should not continue to protest. We've also told the company that they should go back and digest all that have been reviewed for them to know the path to take. On that basis, we've told them that the meeting cannot end today, that we are joined for another date, but meanwhile, there should be no more protests. They should allow the company to go and do their work effectively without any hindrance. The government will come out with a decisive position, which will be far-reaching to everybody. And the governor does not want to hear that there's any community who is harassing investors. And also that the investors should do their own role to ensure that what is due to the communities are being given to them.
The chairman of the Abiborodo Management Committee, Honorable Misa Okubenje, said they staged the protest to request for the 3% derivation given to host communities as compensation, while appealing to the state governments to look into the matter. The legal manager of Seplat, Mr. Churchill Abaza, said the company would work with the state government to ensure lasting peace in the communities. Esther Oputa reporting.
State Hospital Management Board Amendment Bill has been read for the first time at the floor of the State House of Assembly. The state lawmakers read the bill at plenary today. Favor Okafo brings details of the report.
Plenary, the House granted leave to the member representing Isoko South 2 constituency, Albo Ferguson Onwo, to bring in a bill for a law to amend the Delta State Hospital Management Board Law of 2008. Honorable Onwo, earlier in the motion, has sought leave of the House to bring in the bill. It was seconded by the member representing Saple constituency and Chief Whip of the House, Honorable Perkins Umokoro. He again moved the motion for the bill's first reading, seconded by the member representing Ikan North East, Honorable Marilyn Okowa Daramola. The Speaker, the Right Honorable Emomotimi Gwon, then deferred the second reading of the bill to Tuesday. The Committee of the Whole for the Delta State Pest Control and Responsible Ownership Bill was deferred to the next sitting of the House. From the State House of Assembly, I'm Favor Okafo.
The Commissioner, Directorate of Riverine Infrastructure Development, Chief Ebikeme Clark, has called on Deltans to protect government infrastructures in their localities to pave way for more of government projects in their areas. Chief Clark made the call when he led officials of his directorate on a visit to the Warri South Council Chairman, Honorable Weyimi Agbate Iniro, and the people of the area for a one-on-one interaction and their needs. The report.
On arrival at the Warri South Council Lodge, Chief Clark was received by the Warri South Council Chairman, Honorable Weyimi Agbate Iniro. He said the visit was to engage relevant stakeholders using the bottom-to-top approach on the needs assessment of the people. At a stakeholders meeting with leaders from different communities in Warri South local government area, Chief Clark told the people that Governor Sheriff Oborowori established the Directorate to address infrastructural deficit in riverine communities. He assured the people that projects would be executed according to the needs of the people and appealed for the cooperation for contractors handling government projects in the area.
General promises for the greater development of Delta State as encapsulated in the NOAA agenda. His Excellency the Governor has demonstrated his unwavering commitment to doing more for Deltans.
The Warri South Council Chairman, Honorable Akbati Yeniro, commended the state government for the Ministry of Riverine Infrastructure and for appointing Chief Ibikeme Clark as its pioneer commissioner. He expressed confidence in the ability of Chief Ibikeme Clark to perform creditably well.
So with the establishment of this ministry by the governor now, we now have a ministry that we can personally say this is our ministry. And it is in furtherance to that our very amiable commissioner, it is for that reason that he's here today.
Some stakeholders, including Chief Israel Albido, Honorable Joy Ejemudo, the leader of the Warri South Legislative Arm, presented their request to Chief Ibikeme Clark and thanked him for hearing personally from them.
Warri administration, we want to thank him for seeing this as a onerous objective.
The Commissioner, Director of Riverine Infrastructural Development, Chief Ibikeme Clark, and his team later visited the Olu of Warri, Ogiame Atugashe III. The visit of Chief Ibikeme Clark continues.
Stakeholders from the nation's oil and gas industry are meeting in Asaba to examine challenges in the petroleum industry and promote innovative solutions. The expert meeting is being spearheaded by the Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources and the State Ministry of Oil and Gas under the auspices of the 8th National Council on Hydrocarbons. It has as theme Petroleum Industry Act PIA 2021, the journey so far. Gift Unosha has details.
The Permanent Secretary in the Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources, Ambassador Nicholas Ella, represented by the Director Upstream Departments of the Ministry, Mr. Busari Kamiru, said the meeting would promote the affairs and policy of the oil and gas sector, adding that the successive governments paid attention to the oil and gas sector to realize benefits in developing and diversifying the nation's economy. Ambassador Ella commended the state governments for its support for the meeting that the National Council on Hydrocarbons had a mandate to formulate policies that regulate the Nigeria oil and gas sector at the federal and state levels.
National Council on Hydrocarbons has come to stay as the ministry's flagship event aimed at garnering ideas that will propel good policy formulation in our oil and gas sector.
The State Commissioner for Oil and Gas, Honorable Peter Uviejitobo, said the event was centered on involving stakeholders on preferring growth solutions in the petroleum industry. He commended Governor Sheriff Oberewori for his support in the oil and gas industry in the state.
We want to gather all their successes and all their failures and put them in place for us to get proper achievement so that the community that own the oil will get the impact of the ownership.
In their goodwill messages, the State Commissioner for Finance, Honorable Fidelix Telije, the Principal Petroleum Training Institute, PTI Efurun, Dr. Samuel Onoji, and the Chairman Host Community Trust Association, HostCom, Dr. Mike Emu, thanked the state government for its support and enjoined stakeholders to recognize the challenges faced by host communities of hydrocarbon exploration and prefer solutions. Gift Unosha reporting.
A non-government organization dedicated to creating awareness on climate issues, the Fight Against Desert Encroachment, FADE, in collaboration with the Embracing Humanity Initiative, EHI, set to observe the International Day for Climate Action on Thursday in Akukwibo, Oshimili North Local Government Area. The event will feature a mass tree planting exercise alongside sensitization campaign to encourage sustainable environmental practices, aiming to inspire communities to actively contribute to climate change mitigation efforts. The event is particularly significant as it aligns with the urgent call for climate action to protect the planet and its ecosystems. The initiative is rooted in the words of Dr. Newton Jibuno, founder of FAID, who has always advocated for leaving the earth in a better state than we found it. The exercise will feature tree planting, where volunteers and local community members will plant trees to help combat desertification, restore ecosystems, and improve air quality. A series of interactive discussions and workshops will be conducted to raise awareness on the importance of environmental sustainability and the critical need for collective action against climate change. Dr. Jibuno will deliver a keynote address on the necessity of leaving a positive environmental legacy, underscoring the significance of caring for the earth, a message that is more relevant than ever. The National Orientation Agency, NOA, has organized a one-day sensitization town hall meeting on World HIV Day, Security Awareness, Sean Gets Rich Quick Syndrome, World Human Rights Day, and tax reforms. The meeting held at the conference hall of the Federal Secretariat, Asaba.
Declaring the event open, the Director General of the agency, Malam Lanre Isa Onilu, represented by the Director, General Services, Mrs. Rebecca Nasamu, said the essence of the meeting was to enlighten citizens on the pressing national issues and advise them to be security conscious during the Yuletide.
Designed to promote security consciousness and ethical values, discouraging the growing trend of the get-rich-quick syndrome among Nigerians. No more double taxes. The government is working to stop different levels of authority from taxing people for the same thing. Support of low-income earners. Those earning very little will pay little or no taxes at all, helping them manage their finances better.
He harped on the need for citizens to say no to crime, reject quick wealth, embrace diligence and integrity in order to build a united and better Nigeria. The chairman on the occasion, Dr. Michael Emeshile, lauded the NOA for the town hall meeting, describing the theme, promoting awareness, ethical values and national development as apt.
This occasion is unique in 3 ways. Number one is that in the year 2024, the 16 days activism against gender-based violence commenced on the 25th of November and finally ends today. And of course, second reason that today marks.
The NOA had earlier held a press briefing on the sensitization exercise where it informed Nigerians on the need for security in the country, among other burning national issues. The State Director, NOA, Mrs. Tracy Ikolomi, said the meeting would add values to citizens' wellness.
The essence of being security conscious is also very important. We should be alert about our immediate neighborhood as well as those around us. We also look at the World Human Rights Day and also the current reforms, tax reforms, which are essential to our national life.
In their goodwill messages and lectures, a Deputy Director in the Ministry of Information, Mr. Giovanni Emefia, the Director of Finance and Accounts in the Ministry of Trade and Investment, Mrs. Antonia Anyafulu, Director of Community Development, Mrs. Juliana Ireyefuju, and the representative of the Nigerian Police Force, Headquarters Asaba, and Federal Road Safety Corps appreciated the organizer for the meeting and enjoined citizens to obey stipulated rules and the rights of other citizens. Henry Onogwa reporting.
The Chief of Army Staff, COAS, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, has expressed optimism that the new insurgent group, Lakurawa, will soon be eradicated, citing strengthened cooperation with Nigeria's neighboring countries. General Oluyede stated this yesterday while addressing State House correspondents after a meeting with President Bola Tinubu at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. He also revealed that the Nigerian army had adopted a fresh strategy to tackle the country's emerging security threats. During his visit, General Oluyede affirmed his commitment to improving Nigeria's security landscape and promised a fresh approach to tackling insecurity in the country. The Army Chief also provided updates from his recent visits to military formations in the Northwest and Northeast, saying his interactions with officers and soldiers emphasized the urgency of ending insecurity in the country. On the cross-border dimension of Lakurawa's activities, General Oluyede highlighted increased collaboration with neighboring Niger Republic as a key factor in fighting the insurgents. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edun, has given an assurance that the nation's economy will experience significant improvement next year. Mr. Edun gave the assurance at a meeting with the House of Representatives Joint Committee on National Planning and Economic Development and Finance and the proposed for the 7.9 trillion Naira 2025 budget. He expressed optimism that the country was gradually moving away from factors that had impacted negatively on its economy and the citizenry. He said that going by the projection and increased revenue next year and other measures being taken by the government, there were indications that the country was moving away from factors that had in the past impacted negatively on the Nigerian economy and affected its people. Mr. Edun said the signs showed positive indications of growth in the country's economy in 2025. The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, has warned of severe sanctions on airlines that delay tickets refund to passengers. A statement today in Abuja signed by the Director of Public Affairs and Consumer Protection of the NCAA, Mr. Michael Achimogu, said ticket refund compliance regulations were central to the NCAA's consumer protection agenda. He advised airlines to adhere strictly to the refund timelines, as failure to comply would attract immediate sanctions under Part 19 of the Regulations on Passengers' Rights. Speaking on a specific case involving Air Peace, Mr. Achimogu said the airline had exceeded the stipulated refund time frame, compelling the NCAA to demand swift compliance. He said the era of leniency had ended, with stricter enforcement measures now in place. The Minister of Livestock Development, Dr. Idi Mukhtar, has said the era of lamentations over past challenges in Nigeria's livestock sector is now over. Dr. Mukhtar stated this at a strategic consultative session with selected stakeholders on sustainable livestock development in Abuja. He said the country's focus will now shift to implementing sustainable reforms that would transform the sector and contribute significantly to Nigeria's economic growth. The minister assured Nigerians of the ministry's readiness to take decisive action on livestock management, particularly the farmer header crisis that has plagued the sector. Dr. Mukhtar noted that President Bola Tinubu created the ministry in response to the demands of Nigerians for dedicated action in the livestock subsector. You're watching Delta Television Main News. Still to come, New Zealand announced plans to ban greyhound racing. Please stay, we'll be back. Thank you very much for staying. You're watching Delta Television, main news at 8. Now from the foreign scene. New Zealand has announced plans to ban greyhound racing, citing an unacceptably high rate of injuries. The sport had long faced criticism in the country, with some breeders accused of mistreating or doping the animals. The government plans to wind down the industry over the next 20 months to allow time for the rehoming of raising dogs and for people in the industry to transition to other jobs. Apart from New Zealand, commercial greyhound raising is allowed in Australia, Ireland, the UK, and the United States. Racing Minister Mr. Winston Peters said in a statement today, said despite significant progress made by the greyhound racing industry in recent years, the percentage of dogs being injured remained persistently high, and the time had come to make a call in the best interest of the animals. Mr. Peters, who is also New Zealand's Deputy Prime Minister, said the government on today introduced a bill to prevent the unnecessary killing of racing dogs, which would be passed under urgency, adding that further legislation would be tabled to enable to end to greyhound racing. There had been 3 reviews of the greyhound racing industry over the past decade, all recommending significant changes. And from Kenya, the United Kingdom and United States governments have imposed sanctions on a British Kenyan businessman over his alleged involvement in the illicit gold trade. A statement from the UK Foreign and Commonwealth and Development Office says Mr. Kamlesh Patni and 4 others, including his wife and brother-in-law, would have their assets frozen. He was implicated in one of Kenya's biggest corruption scandals, Goldenberg, which is believed to have cost the country over $600 million, and has since faced allegations of involvement in the illicit gold trade in Zimbabwe, which he had previously denied. Away from the foreign scene, let's now join our business news desk for more happenings in the business sector.
Sustained rise in business operations in Nigeria, with the purchasing managers in 50.0% readings. PMI tracks of the businesses, which leads to improvement or otherwise in business performance. PMI ratings 50.0 signal an improvement in business conditions on the previous readings below 50.0 show a deterioration. According to the Stanbic IBTC PMI report released yesterday, though there were some signs of improvement midway through the final quarter of the year, factors bordering rising prices of goods and unemployment have combined to suppress the PMI in November. In another development, Senator Jimo Ibrahim has described the Ajaokuta State Complex as a stark example of Nigeria's squandered development potential, pointing to the $11 billion spent over 43 years without producing any steel. Senator Ibrahim, who represented the Ondo South Senatorial District, made a statement to newsmen yesterday following his participation in the 2024 Oxford Major Program Management Conference.
The death has been announced of Pa Abraham Akborugo of Mosoga in Ethiopia West local government area. The burial arrangement signed by Mr. Stephen Akborugo on behalf of the children and Mr. Benjamin Akborugo on behalf of the family indicates that a service of song will hold for him tomorrow at 4 p.m. at St. Martin's Catholic Church, Ghana, Sapele. On Friday at 8 a.m., his corpse will leave the Obule Medical Center, Okwe Road, Sapele, to the St. Martin's Catholic Church, Ghana, Sapele, for the funeral service, and at 11 a.m., he will lie in state at his compound, Old Road, after Udurie Secondary School at Jatito, Mosoga. Guests will be entertained at the Udurie Secondary School at Jatito, Mosoga. A Thanksgiving service will be held in his honor at St. Martin's Catholic Church, Ghana, Sapele, on Sunday, December 15 at 8 a.m. Age 77, Papa Akporugo is survived by children, including Mrs. Teresa Abuga, Assistant General Manager, News and Current Affairs, Delta Broadcasting Service, DBS, Asaba. Now, a thought for the day. The desire to succeed means nothing without the will to prepare. We'll take a look at our highlights before we go. The state government has appealed for support for families of fallen and retired veterans of the nation's armed forces. Governor Sheriff Oborewori made the appeal during the 2025 Armed Forces Remembrance Day emblem launch held today at the Unity Hall, Government House, Asaba. Intending 250 Delta State pilgrims to the Holy Land of Israel and Jordan have been advised to pray for the peace and economic prosperity of the state in particular and Nigeria in general. Governor Sheriff Oborewori gave the charge while declaring open the 2024 Delta Christian Pilgrims Pre-Departure Screening Exercise at the Christian Association of Nigeria CAN Secretariat in Asaba. The state government has said it will work towards a lasting peace in communities experiencing crisis. Special Advisor to the State Governor on Peace Building and Conflict Resolution, Chief Edwin Uzo, stated this when he met with representatives of Ibedeni Kingdom and Ndokwa East local government area in his office in Asaba. And abroad, New Zealand announced plans to ban greyhound racing. And that's our news on Delta Television tonight. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Pauline Okoli. Compliments of the season.